Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'd like to give you a couple of pointers on starting to learn Beethoven's Fur Elise. It's a fine little piece, and its trouble is that it's so well known, and the little kids come and they start hacking away at it as fast as they can because it's under your hand, and they think, well, now they're playing it right, but they're not. They have to. It's classical music, so it's not romantic, and it's got to follow Beethoven's instructions. Then you can add your own personality to it, but you have to give credence to what he wrote. He wrote that it's poco moto to begin with, so that's a little motion, and it's Fur Elise, it's for this woman. And so you have to have the grace and the charm and the tone. If it doesn't have a singing tone, then it's spoiled. It just sounds like mechanical technique and an exercise. But if you can make it have a singing sound, you know, if the arm is relaxed, if you think you're sitting tall, seat is far enough back that you're on the front half of the bench, shoulders are dropped, and you imagine an elastic band from your feet to the tip of your head, everything falls from there, and you want to play in underneath the keys and well in on the white keys, that your fingers, when you go up over a black key, it's right under your hand, and you can minimize the difference between the two using the difference of the lengths of your fingers to be aware of it. You can make it smooth because now if you can think of the finger being firm, because what closes and what opens muscles make the work against each other as an antagonistic pair. They make the finger firm. Then you can release to flop down, and then the finger draws underneath your hand like that, and you can release from your back of your neck and feel that it drops and that you're drawing the tone out. It's like as though the finger is this tennis racket and there's a tennis ball on this side of your finger, and you're going to snap it this way and draw the tennis ball behind you. As you flop down and through, you can take just the amount of tone you want, as gently as you want, and it'll sing, and your elbow's at your side. And then the next note has got to be a little bit less. It's got to be, if this is an active note, this one has to be more passive. And 3 as beat 3, 1. Think of 3 heavier than 1 a little bit, so that you go 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. And so on. It's going to have that in the groove feel to it of a pulse holding the piece throughout, so that when you come to the next section, it comes into C major, it's so fresh and refreshing because it started in A minor, the dominant, back to tonic. So tonic has to be less, so that's your dominant, tonic. It can't be. So if you practice setting the metronome for the 16th, and every note it's micro counting, it's just keeping it steady and linking your notes. And a dear friend of mine, Natalie, pointed out to me how important it is that every note matters. So if you can think of the roundness of the note and both where it's going and where it's falling from, then there's no rushing, and each note is shaped, and each note is part of that pulse. So counting it to the metronome to the 16th, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, and again 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, 2 and 3. See, you have to lift the finger. As soon as you play the new note, you have to lift the finger that's before it, or it blurs. So, and this way you keep it steady because you're listening on both sides of the note in the going. Now, that has to stay steady when you change to this this F major part. You see, it's gone. The piece started in A minor, then it moves into C major, and then back to A minor, and because it comes into this, back to A minor, E, G sharp, B as the dominant of A minor, because there are three primary triads: A, C, E in A minor, D, F, A, that's the chord on 4, and E, G sharp, B, chord on 5. If you add the 7th, it's, and then back to A. So that's the chord progression. And if you can be aware of what chords you're playing in that home key, then when it modulates, like to C major, you hear the difference. The accidentals pointed out to you where you're going, what keys you're going to. Now, the 8th is the pulse. So if you come into this, 1 and 2 and 3, and spread that. You see, in 1 and 2 and 3. This section, each of those ticks is going to be 2 30 seconds because it's a 16th when we're going slowly like that. We were going 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now here it's 1 and 2 and 3 and sorry. 2 and 3, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and because it's with the metronome, I wasn't able to spread, but I would have spread that because even it's indicated diminuendo and poco rit. So slow down, get quieter. So it's that tempo, right from there. And then when it moves into this section, 1 and 2 and 3 and this is ticking your 16th, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. See, it says crescendo, so that means start quietly, even though there's an accent. You can't go, it's so many kids, but it's not like that. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now quiet. 1 and now it starts to build. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 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 Now, if you can think of the way it started only in eighths and think of where this is, then that's 3, 1, 2, 3. Then when you come to this section, there are 3 notes, not just the 2/16ths, but there are 3 triplet notes in one of those main beats. So 1, 2, 3. But you see, it's not. so many people think that the kids, they think that that's how fast you go, but it's not. You get it from what's up here. And up here it's 3, 1. So if that's 120 for the 16th, that's like 60 for the 8th, which is 3. Then when you come here, you stand a chance. Now when you hit, after you go, then you come to the triplets on chromatic. It's just a chromatic scale. 1, 2, and that's 3, 1 for the black, and then just the 2 words E, F, E there. See how it changes, and it even puts a writ after you come into, you're already slowing down because you're doing 2 notes in the time of 3, because this was 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2 notes, and slow down he wants. So. So you see, if you can have a nice singing tone when it returns to that melody, it's just heartwarming. It's so nice and so beautiful when it comes in like that. And then at the end, it's morendo, so it's dying away to nothing. So, even more than that. So you see, it's got technically difficult spots in it, but it doesn't want to sound like a technical exercise. It wants to sound like a beautiful piece to be played for a beautiful woman. So I hope that gives you a few ideas, and that you want to learn it, and you go for it and learn it. It's a fun piece to practice. Have a good night. Bye-bye.